Of course, as the Easter weekend is approaching, many people are thinking about whether or not they should gather with family, and if so, how to do so safely. Joining me now to discuss his advice for people who will be gathering over the Easter weekend is Dr. Peter Jüni, Scientific Director of the Ontario Science Advisory Table. Dr. Jüni, thanks so much for making the time. Perhaps I'll just start out with a very basic question and a very broad question as to whether or not you think it's safe for people to gather over the Easter weekend, and in which size groups. I mean, are we looking at smaller gatherings, or can people plan Easter gatherings as they would have been able to prior to COVID?
They shouldn't plan it as if it was prior to COVID, for sure not. Right now, in Canada in general, but especially here in Ontario, we're seeing a really high number of cases. We don't have the necessary testing anymore as before, so we need to use other means such as wastewater to estimate the number of infections happening daily. And the numbers here in Ontario are roughly at 100,000 infections per day, meaning that we have about 5% of the population who currently has an active infection and could, transmit the virus to others. And that's just a really high number. What this means is for this holidays now here, that we should be selective. We either meet our friends and family outdoors, we keep it relatively small, we keep good ventilation in the back of our minds, or in certain situations we mask up. We also need to be aware of that rapid tests are not a panacea anymore. So one single negative rapid test is relatively meaningless. You would need to have at least 2 tests spread 24 to 48 hours apart and done properly, meaning cheek, back of the throat, and nose, that the negative test twice is sort of meaningful and starts to reduce the risk that you're actually infected right now. So all of these aspects need to be taken in mind right now, taken into consideration. The best bet right now is just make it small, selective, and be aware of a few weeks from now, this wave will hopefully have subsided and things will get a lot easier and a lot less risky.
And as it relates to masking and potentially rapid testing, obviously those are two things that a lot of people will probably be doing in order to be cautious and in order to be safe prior to any Easter gatherings that people may have. I want to go back to your last answer though. Is taking one rapid test better than not taking any at all? And I guess to what degree does taking a rapid test tell you whether or not it is a good idea to gather for Easter? And then additionally, maybe speaking a little bit about, people wearing masks and whether or not people should be wearing masks, and how much that could potentially prevent any transmission of COVID during an Easter gathering.
Yeah. So one single rapid test negative doesn't mean much. Right now, we know that already from Omicron, quite a lot of the rapid tests are struggling. There may be some that actually work relatively okay. None of those that I'm aware of would be available in Canada. And the problem really is that especially early in the course of an infection, they tend to stay negative. Now, therefore, at least 2 tests and done really properly. If you just do it in the nose again, it won't work. No, so you really need to have cheek, back of your throat or tongue and nose, and you would need to have 2 tests. If you try to meet on Sunday and would like to play this a bit safer, this means today a test. If it's negative, do one again early Sunday, just before you meet, and try not to expose yourself. Conversely, if a test is positive, just believe it. This means, yes, you need to consider that you're infectious right now and isolate. It's as simple as that. If you have symptoms, whatever it is, it can just be symptoms of a common cold or a lack of appetite, strong tiredness, digestive system, digestive symptoms, etc. All of that would point towards a strong possibility of COVID. And again, stay home and isolate. No? What about masks? Good masks, ideally, a high grade of filtration, meaning a KF94, a KN95, or an N95. What is equally important as filtration, of course, is the good fit, or even more important. So if you have just leaks and the mask doesn't fit snugly around your nose and face, then you have a problem there, of course, because the air coming in there or being exhaled is unfiltered. Therefore, good fit, good filtration, that's the way to go. If you don't have, one of these higher grade masks, a good way to deal with it is to have a medical mask underneath and a cloth mask on top, which ensures that the fit of the medical mask is better and adds an additional layer of filtration.